the early days of rock and roll. You asked this in the book. Do you know the real stories about the early days of rock and roll? What made that particular era such fertile ground for the mythology that you explore in Rock and Roll Ghosts?
Probably because there's so many different rumors about it. And only until people started doing a lot of books about it, and even a lot of those books weren't exactly true, but documentaries that have come out about these performers, you always heard rumors and things that didn't quite sit right. You go, did Chuck Berry really, take that song from somebody? Did he really hear this certain song that was a Slavic song? Or I'd heard that rumor. And I think a lot of that came from like people who are much older than us, probably sitting around smoking some weed and listening to the records, and they just start talking, and then all of a sudden, just like the thing about Paul is dead, it just goes around and becomes fact.
How much of it too is this is long before the internet era, so there's less there, which makes it more intriguing. It's like the Buddy Holly plane crash. There's like a few
Yes.
photos. I mean, that's it.
Which is interesting about that. You brought that up for that Buddy Holly story that I did. I was watching that documentary about 3 or 4 years ago that the British put out. I want to say it was the late 90s, maybe 2000s. And they actually went in and they explored the grounds, but they talked to people who worked with that pilot. And it turned out the pilot was not feeling well himself, and he was actually going blind.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's nuts. I'll send you the link to it. I think it's still on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I've seen videos of the actual location, the last gig that Buddy Holly and the Crickets played,
Yeah.
and that's pretty eerie. I mean, they've preserved that very well.
Yes, and the fact that country star Waylon Jennings was his bass player at the time, and he flipped a coin, I think, with Big Bopper. See, Waylon Jennings he had bronchitis or something. He was very sick, and of course, the plane had a little bit of a heater, but the bus didn't have any heat. So whoever lost that coin toss had to ride the bus, and that's when Waylon lost the coin toss. Big Bopper got to go on the plane, and him and Buddy Holly were bantering. They always bantered. They were like brothers. And Waylon, I don't know how old he was. I can't remember. I want to say he was like 16 or 17.
He was a kid.
And, yeah, and I think Buddy Holly was what, 24, 25,
yeah,
maybe? And so Buddy Holly says, well, I hope your bus crashes. He says, well, I hope your plane crashes. And Waylon said in that documentary, he said, boy, it bothered me almost my entire life that I said that to one of my best friends.
He's been the greatest source of information for that story.
Yes.
But if that happens today, man, no stone is unturned, but there's still things you wonder about it. Like I say, you get those few photos of the crash and things like that. This may be the most fascinating one in the book. This is cool. What if Buddy Holly actually survived the plane crash? And
he gave this interview.
And it opens as a fictional magazine interview from 1974. What inspired you to present the story in that format?
I couldn't think of any other way to do it. I could have went ahead and wrote about him where he was living incognito on a farm not far from the crash site, and this family brings him in, and I think it was a father and a daughter, if I remember correctly. And of course, he falls in love with the daughter, and he just lives there, and no one knows that he is still alive until, what was it, the mid 60s, I think, or early 60s when he come out. And I have him, he finally decided he got the muse and he wanted to perform again, gets all these different types of managers and things like that. And some sort of shady stuff happens. Some good things happen, but he's wearing this necklace that has this amulet on it, which is what kept him alive. And I could have presented that as just the story, but I decided, well, what if he was just alive in the early 70s and he gives this interview, and all the other stuff that had happened to him, he didn't talk much about it. He just wanted to do the records, and that was it. And again, the character that I had, the shadowy character who had dealings with Freed, and just about every character in this book, he he cajoles Buddy Holly into giving an interview, and yeah,
Oh man, I
I
love
mean,
that story. I
thank you,
love
thank
that
you.
story. I mean, imagine that. That's like, people say, I saw Elvis. He's in
Yeah,
Home Alone. He's standing in line at the airport. You know,
exactly, exactly. That also probably had a little bit of effect on me. Remember all those stories, and remember
Jim
what
Morrison
was it called? Oh yeah,
living
yeah,
in
living in
Africa.
Africa,
Yeah,
which we find out it was Ray Manzarek was spreading that
right.
story.
Yeah,
Because John Densmore said that. He said, "Oh, that was Ray doing that. We didn't have anything to do with that stuff, but it kept our records
it sure
alive."
did.
So